Okay, here we are for episode 11. Suddenly I've forgotten. Yes, episode 11. What's found in the ice and snow. So you can see that
Oh, good.
that if you're thinking we're going to get through the mountains without any role playing, that you might be in trouble. So to quick recap, last session you guys spent a bunch of time in Rivendell. Rivendell was apparently a good place for some therapy and some of the opposite of therapy. And we did some yelling at each other and some conversation, and we learned the Glorfindel's in sort of not dead-ish, but probably worse. And some people learned some things about shadow. Some people tried to tattoo other people. Some people successfully tattooed other people. And now, after sending the box full with the Ice King to the south to be protected in Moria, and seeing the first glimmers of spring melt the pass, you have headed off towards uh, Yrsa's place on the other side of the Misty Mountains as a momentary stopping place on your quest to finally visit the Woodland Realm. So,
At long last.
Yeah. So I imagine the weather, it's pretty horribly awful traveling.
well, right now the weather's great
Do we have to?
because that's part of why you left, right? The sun is out,
Right.
spring has come, and you're headed up towards the mountains in the hopes that things will be fine and weather will be great. Don't pay attention to the background at all.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute.
So, um, first thing we need to do is show off even more cats. Ah!
Yeah. I can't see them
Kitty
though.
cat.
Kitties.
Aw.
And then next thing we need to do is actually have an embarkation roll by our guide that's headed over the Misty Mountains. So this is almost certainly Gundyr at this point.
Yay!
And this is an embarkation roll, so this is the one where you just roll a d12 and add your survival proficiency and half your wisdom, minus the difficulty of the journey. As it turns out, the high pass is considered to be highly difficult, even more so if you guys had done it in winter. Luckily, you're not.
All right, well, that's still pretty good. Let's go with the embarkation roll. That's pretty good. That's going to be 8 plus 5. So 13.
Okay. I subtract the difficulty from that, and we end up back at 8.
Well, still pretty good.
And it says fine weather. Yeah, the morning brings a beautiful sunrise. Yeah. You ignore the first exhaustion point that you accrue during this journey.
Yeah.
The first.
Which
This is gonna go
might
great,
actually
guys.
be a thing on this journey.
Okay.
Huzzah!
I'm sure that it'll all be fine. As you head off that way, your spirits are in a good mood. As a reminder, you're not alone. You have our 2 NPCs with you, just the 2 at this stage. Oh no, we actually have 4 NPCs with us. Sorry.
Yep.
We have the 2 female elves and the 2 male Northmen, Thorber and Durn, and Wethril and Gliriel. The only one on a horse is Allred, I imagine, because the pass as you head that direction.
Yeah, that's
How
gonna
are
be
the
rough.
ground conditions?
I mean, you're still on a path or road here, so it's pretty good.
Oh, okay.
You're a little concerned that it might get rougher up on the mountain, but there is in theory there's a trail all the way through. So
I'll just lead my horse so I don't wear him out.
So so yeah, it's a nice journey. It takes a couple of days and all that to get to the mountains. And once you get to the Misty Mountains, they have their natural fog that kind of around them, but otherwise it looks good. But as you start your way up the Misty Mountains, a fierce second winter from the north, surprising everyone, comes down. It's already hit the other side of the Misty Mountains, and as you start up there, the snow starts to fall. Um, Even though the path had generally been cleared, now there is more snow being added to it, and was looking to be a nice, easy spring journey now gets worse as the snow starts to fall, and you trudge your way up the mountains, looking for um, shelter and speed through the Misty Mountains. Um, I think this is probably Gundyr again, but give me another survival roll just for how well you guys are doing on the trip up there.
A regular survival roll or
Regular. Yep.
okay. All right, I can do that. Hey, that's really good. 25.
Excellent. Willard, what's your passive perception?
Passive perception is 15. No,
Right.
16.
Excellent.
Nope, 15. It's still 15. Sorry.
16. Final answer.
I don't remember updating it. I must have.
Okay, now you have your treasure hunter ability that you get to roll for passive perception even if you're not there.
Yeah,
so why don't you give me a roll?
Oh boy.
Because 15 is not quite enough.
Something sneaky going on.
You're the lookout, right, Willard? So that's why I'm headed your direction.
Well, I rolled a 1.
Oh.
Oh.
Do you have any
Okay.
inspiration?
I do.
Ooh.
But
Use it.
do you want to use it here?
Yeah, that's true.
This is the
It's
question.
not like the fate of the whole party rests on it or anything. Oh, that's fine.
It'll probably be fine.
You know what? I've got. I think a couple points here. Let me look exactly. It says I have 4. That seems like a lot.
You haven't used much though, so
I
Right.
used them a little. Did I get? Oh, we got one back. I had a bunch and then I used a couple. Yeah, so 4 sounds right. I think. I hope. I'm gonna use one. Yeah, let's do it. Hey, there we go. That's a 19 plus is 24.
Woo.
yeah, there you go.
I believed in you, Willard, the entire time.
Okay, good news for you. 24 beats the target number by 5, which is relevant. As you may have noticed, we didn't actually roll for journey events because I had previously rolled them. I had even shown the party what those results were, so that's kind of for fun. But
I point and I say, "Look, I see a."
so as part of the way up the mountain, you guys, as night kind of came to fall and the storm started getting really rough, you looked for places for shelter on the mountain cliffs. And of course, the best place, as everybody who's read The Hobbit knows, to find shelter is a cave. So, Willard, you're checking out that cave. And as you are in there, you do notice that the cave is not empty. Near the back of the cave, it looks like there is a tall figure with a staff and a traveling cloak, kind of like tapping the cloak against the walls.
Hey, look, I see a tall man with a staff tapping a thing against the wall.
Willard, do you not know how
Subtle.
to... Yes, be subtle.
It looks like he needs help.
Does
What's he
it?
doing out here?
Oh yeah. Oh
Fine,
shit,
so-
everyone
old
prepare
man.
yourself. It's an old man in a hat.
I pull out my bow just in case.
Worst case
well-
scenario, he's not just an old man in a hat, in which case your bow is useless. Best case scenario, he's just an old man in a hat, in which case your bow is not required.
Which one
I'm
would
just
you
gonna
like
go
to try?
down.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna put my money
Come on, Willard, let's
old
go
man
be
in a hat.
intrepid and sociable.
Mm. Sounds yeah.
you are not being subtle at all. So as you come in, the guy in the cloak clearly hears you. He stops and kind of turns around. He's got the traveling cloak on, kind of the hood, so it's hard to immediately identify. There is definitely the staff looks like a gnarled kind of staff. You definitely have kind of visions of Radagast a little bit, but it's clearly not Radagast.
Hmm.
The
Radagast's cousin.
he,
Ghost.
that's what happens when he becomes a ring wraith. We call him Radaghost.
Oh, oh no.
Too soon.
Radagast's cousin, Steve Buscemi.
Aw.
No, so the stranger, as you approach, he doesn't do anything threatening or anything, but does reach up and like pull the hood down, and underneath it there is a relatively well manicured blonde beard, uh, slightly long hair. Uh, as you can see around the cloak, he also is wearing a robe of some sort. Looks to be maybe of a dark color.
Oh, he's not that old. How old is he?
He
I just
doesn't.
assumed he was old.
He doesn't look that old. There might be a little bit of white in the blonde beard, but not a lot. So your guess is as good as mine.
Hello. My name is Willard, and I'm. This is my friend Estriel. And those are our companions over there. We're going through the pass, and maybe we shared this here cave with you.
Well, I see that the storm has brought you here. How fortuitous. No, please come in, come in. We can all. There's plenty of room for all of us within here to get outside of the cold and whatever else it is that we need. Correct?
Yeah. Well, we should make some food. We have plenty to share. I'm sure. I think. I hope. I wouldn't have planned any otherwise.
We did.
So yeah,
Willard
I'm
was
gonna start
very, very specific on how much food we
unpacking
had.
a cooking pot and getting a fire going, and
Okay. Does everybody pile in then?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
sure. Why not?
then we all die.
Oh. Well, time to start a new campaign.
Yeah.
Such right.
Well, you're not all going to die if the cave isn't going to collapse on you if that's relevant. But
This
That's
isn't
good.
Rock's Fall. Everybody die.
it does seem like that'd be the wrong way to end the campaign. Just
But
in case you were
nobody saw
interested.
it coming, though, so.
As you all come in, as soon you're all getting there, Wethril stops and looks at the old man. His gaze falls upon her, and it's clear that they recognize each other. Oh,
Meaningful
Wait.
look between the three, like all
one?
red.
Wethril.
Oh,
Withrel
Oh.
and this guy.
I think that that the Fates are doing very well, aren't they, today? For it is good to make your acquaintance again, Wethril.
What?
And since I'm stuck role playing with myself, Wethril then says,
Isn't that the best?
"It's
Role-playing with myself.
it's the GM's favorite thing, right? We always love it."
Yep.
So Wethril then says, I see. Did you make it to Dol Guldur then?"
What?
Of course, he
Is-
replies. Things have been okay. But I'm glad to see that you are here. My vision tells me that your brother has not been so fortunate. And Wethril just hangs her head.
Is this
How do you guys know
Wethril?
each other?
Is this the guy who got you kicked out of the land you're from?
Wethril nods.
Ooh, immediate mother mode. Very defensive. Not happy. We can find another cave. We don't have to stay here.
We should.
Mm,
I don't know if we can find another cave.
Or I could show
Not in
this man
weather.
another campsite at the bottom of that canyon.
Yes, we can't find another cave until we're done cooking dinner.
Until we're done cooking dinner.
I already started. You can't stop it now.
Well, it does make a good point.
Yeah, he does make a good point.
fine, but I stand by my statement.
I understand.
Tell your statement to come over here and get out of the cold.
I don't. I'm not super comfortable sharing a cave with a betrayer. So
What happened?
I suppose I should ask you, good sir, first your name, and then why we should be cordial.
Oh, well, um, he kind of, his gaze falls over all of you, and you kind of definitely feel like that sense of power that like when you run into like Galadriel or the like, as the gaze settles over you, and he then it ends on Wethril, and you can see that there's definitely like a little bit of like judging things before he then turns back to Nestriel and says, "It appears that I generally am known in these parts as the Necromancer."
Get out.
Was the-
I think
The
the
what?
higher chance is us to get out versus
Whadomancer?
him.
The necromancer, the rumored mage that
Is that
stays
the one
in.
that Galad?
I'm just gonna go ahead and grab my axe nonchalantly.
I
Hey, what's this? What's this raspy sound of a sword coming out of a sheath? Oh.
Well,
Don't
then
mind
I
that.
suppose you have a limited amount of time to tell me why this intrepid band of good adventurers should not put your reputation to rest.
I'm using my
I
new
believe
ability.
because we are all on the same side here, we both wish to stop the coming darkness from engulfing all of Middle Earth, do we not?
I've seen what necromancers must read and do to gain the powers that they have, and it is not aligned with our purpose. It is aligned with Shadow.
It is true that when one only sees the shadow as your enemy, that everything the shadow does seems to be evil. But there is more to darkness than just the shadow, for there is the pitch blackness that sits behind it, that destroys all the world, and cares not if something is there to cast a shadow, but just wishes it all to be devoured.
You're not helping convince me, right, with that statement. And where do you stand in the spectrum of light?
I straddle that place, for I know that it is just as important that the shadow aligns with itself as does the light before the darkness comes. So, yes, I am, as you have said, I have delved into the darkness of the shadow and known it, and I have created the tools, the means, and necessary to my end, as you would do in my place.
I had the opportunity to learn what you do and to join you in straddling, and I chose not to. I believe only in healing and light, and the good that can be inside of people, And what that book showed me was none of those things.
Oh my god.
Fuck.
Are you gonna? Yeah.
I will turn to West. I know he's an enemy of all of us, but he's your enemy before he is ours. What would you have us do?
One cannot betray, as you say, if one was not at one time a friend.
Ooh.
The there it took many words for him to convince my brother and I that we should leave. Many of those words that you hear here, that there was errands, that there was something more. He has not been wrong, for I have come and I have seen more of the world than I had ever thought. I have seen the light dawn and the fire in the sky. I have seen elves that were not my kin. I have seen the depths of the dwarven kingdoms. There is things I had never dreamed of that have come true since I left. It is only the fact I cannot return, and that the Witch King took my brother, that I lay at the feet of this man.
So, what would you have us do?
I do not know. I have thought many days, but as I have traveled with you, I have also traveled with him. And as I have heard your thoughts and feelings, I have heard his. And one might even say that it is familiar to see the two together. But I worry that the words he gave me are the words that are easily sown to a person naive and not understanding the world, and that I have learned a lot since. During this whole speech, the necromancer, as he calls himself, I'll just say that, um, is basically standing leaning on his staff, kind of over in the corner, watching the whole thing and listening. He doesn't seem particularly upset or anything.
Hmm.
I propose this. We cannot go out into this weather. I have a high suspicion that trying to get him out into this weather would prove a lot more dangerous than it is a worthwhile task. If if we can cohabitate in this cave for the rest of the evening until we can get out. Nobody talks to each other. I look pointedly at the necromancer and back to everybody here. Then it should be fine.
I was not expecting that from you.
To be clear, Kellyanne, you are getting a shadow thing from the necromancer.
Little tingliness.
Yeah.
Can I roll for that then? To know what exactly it is. DC
What is
intelligence
that shadowy
check.
tingliness?
Okay.
Yields additional info on the nature of the haunting, I guess. Aha! Oh my goodness! Look at that!
Look at that 20. That's a
I
20.
know!
I
know,
just
it's
saw
a
an
20.
8. That's what I saw. Did you guys see an 8? I saw an 8.
No! It was a 20! So excited about that!
Woo woo.
I'm keeping this dice over here. My lucky dice.
Okay. Additional information, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I should probably tell you this in secret.
Okay.
Oh,
What? That's not necessary.
Secrets
Says the
don't make
player
friends, Frank.
characters.
Secrets don't make friends.
Just FYI, if we stay in here with him, there's no way I'm not talking to him.
It seems like his words are his biggest weapon. The less we talk to him, the better.
But he also has a lot of knowledge that is incredibly relevant to one of my largest plots.
Oh my god.
Also, I don't know if you guys have noticed the very direct and not very wavering line of research that I've. He's kind of smack dab in the middle of that whole shadow lore
that
thing.
seems safe.
Yeah.
Look, I already have 4 shadow points. I'll be fine.
I mean, none of them are permanent yet, right?
Yeah.
Yet.
Very happy to be at 0.
Okay. I did that in all caps for you, Kellyanne, just so that it felt.
Yeah.
Just so you get the urgency.
Just to give some of the feel that I couldn't do in voice, right? That you might get from that. So.
Fuck. Okay.
So, Willard, you're nowhere to be found at the moment, correct?
Yeah, I am hiding.
How bad is the
I mean,
weather
I am in a
outside
place-
again?
I am in a place that
It's
can be
frightful.
found.
I just want to make sure that you're not actually making dinner right now, which
No.
is something I always have to check with hobbits. You never know.
But
Dinner might be
hopefully
burning.
nobody notices. You know, I am a very small person.
Yeah, okay.
On second thought, I agree with Nestriel. Maybe we can find some better caves elsewhere.
Why do you say that?
Reasons, Alfred. Reasons. Meaningful look to everybody.
Hold on, I have to roll a decision die. Don't worry about it.
We do have to keep on top of our time after all, and staying here might hinder it as is.
I'll make sure my helmet is very securely attached to my head.
Well, he does step forward and say, if it is agreeable to all, I would love to have a few private words with my friend Wethriel.
No.
No.
Just
Wait,
a
you can-
resounding no.
What you say to her,
man.
you can say to us as well. I
Well,
think
more
you've
important-
done enough damage with your words.
More importantly, I really feel like we need to get going. We do have some time crunches that people to see and all that. We need to get going.
What are the sources of light in here?
I made a little fire, I think, but I probably didn't have enough time to stoke it much.
His staff
if-
is definitely glowing.
Nestriel, if anything, listen to me when I say this. We need to get out now.
Don't know where Willett is right now, but pack it up. We're leaving. We're not staying here tonight. We'll make
I'll be
do.
the last one out the cave. I want to make sure everybody gets out first.
Well,
I quickly gather up all my stuff. I step out of the shadows, grab it up, and make my way out and say, "Have a nice evening, sir."
Yeah. I'll walk out backwards.
Yeah. Oh, I can imagine Alred and I, weapons in hand, just walking out backwards.
Slowly scooting back.
Yeah.
Does Wethriel hesitate?
Wethriel does hesitate.
I grab her hands. Let's go.
The
We really should be
Necromancer and Wethriel exchange one more look, but then Wethriel turns and comes with you.
I'll keep her in front of me as like I'm keeping my eye on the necromancer.
I'll be the last to leave, keeping an eye on him
No.
as we all exit.
We-
And then
No.
as
I'll be the last to leave.
No,
As
I'll
we
be the
leave-
last to leave.
I believe I established that I would be the last to leave.
as we leave,
So we're all
uh,
just piled up at the entrance.
going to
Y'all
look
take
back-
one backward step at the same time to be out. Yeah.
Yep. As we leave, I will look at him and Dol Guldur will not corrupt the Mirkwood forever. Your days are numbered.
Ooh.
Could
The
you have a
threat-
calendar? Yeah.
Is not Dol
Yeah.
Guldur,
The calendar. Oh shit.
he says.
Ooh. Oh no. Can't give me juicy secrets like that.
Nope, we get going.
I mean, just imagine what juicy secrets you get if you sat down and had tea with the necromancer.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
You
The
can
guy
learn
knows so much stuff. He
No,
knows.
matter of
I
fact-
swear to God, if I have to haul you over my shoulder, I will.
You're a good man.
Wow,
Good
my dignity.
I'm sorry, but I can't handle you just wavering on the precipice over here because you might learn something.
I am gonna pause. What do you mean by that?
I mean that you
I give
tend to
him-
get carried away doing
no.
stuff like this.
That's to the necromancer.
Oh,
Gundyr, pick her up.
Gundyr,
Hey.
pick her up.
Don't you fucking dare.
Gundyr, I'll
You-
do it. You don't do it. That'd be bad.
You worry about what might cause the end of your forest and what might destroy the elves. And it is only a shadow of what comes from elsewhere that you see in Dol Guldur. Dol Guldur is just a search for an understanding of the evil that corrupts all of Middle Earth.
He's gonna get a really eager and indecisive look,
It's like-
and then I'm going to join my friends in the.
It's like he's saying, I want
Exactly.
to be corrupted by the corrupting stuff. Like, what? Bad idea, man.
Nestriel, just make me a shadow save for me, just because.
Yep.
I'm sure that lure of knowledge is your or power.
It is.
I-
Lure of secrets.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
All right. Hey, I actually did pretty good. 21.
You do not get a shadow point, and you leave with your companions into the dark and snowy mountainside along the path as you struggle up there. I have good news and I have bad news as you head back out there. Not making camp up here and struggling through the snow is going to give you all an exhaustion point.
Which we ignore.
Good news. That's the good news. That was my good news.
That's the good news. Is we ignore that point of
Yes!
exhaustion.
Knew it was going to happen. Boom. Useful.
So was very useful. As you're going that way, you remember that, oh yeah, it was really sunny back then, and we can do this. And you do not get
Remember when it was
exhausted
really
that
sunny,
night.
guys?
Remember
As
when
you-
it was sunny?
As you
That's
struggle
fu-
on for another hour or so up the side of the mountain, looking for another place to rest for the night through the deep snow as things snow. Luckily for you, you have a horse instead of a pony. So the Duskheart is more than capable of dealing with large snowdrifts and the like.
Mm-hmm.
I'm riding Duskart. Yeah. Thanks, Gundyr.
Well, I imagine the snow is like
I
up
mean-
to your chest or something compared to the rest of us. So
I don't want to come off as lazy or anything, but it's a practical thing.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, no, dude, we get
And-
it. Look,
and
man.
he doesn't really even register you as a burden.
I mean, if I was an elf, I'd be
Aw.
walking on top of the snow too. But as
What a
it
nice-
stands, I'm gonna have to be the plow.
I don't know what your guys' problem is. You gotta stay on the surface. It's not hard. Even I can.
Nestriel, I'm a big man who has a big cereal. I can't walk on snow.
We can take turns being the plow.
We can take turns being the plow.
When you get tired, I'll take over.
All right, yeah.
So don't
Just gotta
forget
convince him that he's
that
tired.
you've got Thorben and Durm with you.
Right. They
Oh,
can
yeah.
also
Well-
take turns being the
They're
plow.
Northmen. They're
As
used
a
to
side
plowing.
note, Gunder, after you got about like 10 minutes after you leave the cave, they kind of come to you and go, "So that was just a ploy, right? We're gonna go back and gank him."
We're gonna go back and gank him.
That's totally Middle Earth lingo.
Yeah, you two guys need a
Northman
lot
slang.
more training before you think you can go toe to toe with somebody like that.
Well,
As it stands, you can't even go a night of drinking and then spar with me. You got a lot to learn.
Ooh, bird.
they're like, yeah, sure, right? You know, but you got like, they point at the elves. You got like elves and like, and there's a bunch of us, right? Like we could take him.
You're a dull kid, Billy. um, yeah, you guys know. Just know you're not ready for that. If you really
We're
want to,
not ready for
if
that.
if you really want to ask why, then I suggest you tell this story to Yrsa, and she'll tell you exactly what I'm telling you right now.
You know, that's a good idea. Solid advice.
It's like you got to trust your instincts. And right now, my animal instincts are telling me to get the hell away from that guy.
Well, you've done that. You find a place to rest. It's more of like a shelf rather than a deep cave, but it does protect from the snow to some degree, and that's where you spend the night. Uh, Willie, do you get to make another one of those passive perception rolls?
Cool.
Although we're out in the wilderness, so I would bet that like Kellyan and Gundyr, your Kellyan in particular with her Wanderer, that
It
your passive
would be
perception is
very good.
actually pretty high.
Oh, my
Yes, it
passive
is.
perception. My passive perception is glorious at night.
What is it? You want to roll a spot? Do we have to? Am I?
I
What?
mean, yeah, I can roll perception. Mine's at a 10 right now.
Oh, yeah, it's better than mine.
16? I mean, without the rolling.
Yeah,
you're
it's just your passive.
Yeah,
right?
passive is 20 for me.
At night?
Jesus.
Or
At night,
20
yeah.
in the wilderness.
Oh yeah.
If we're making an active roll, I will help, as I am
Actually, it's
likely.
But do you have the? If your passive perception misses it, can you roll to get it?
Mm,
That's
You're
what
still
Willet
better,
has.
like-
So
Your passive is better than me rolling, but
right.
at least we have a chance.
That's true. I mean, I can't roll afterwards, but
okay.
20 is still pretty high.
So yeah, it's probably better to go with you, but
I should
'cause if it's
probably
odd-
ask, given the counter that you think you just had,
Oh, he's coming back.
what do people sleep tonight? Like, what's
No
do
way
you
in
hang out
hell.
there?
It's on edge.
What do you do?
I mean, I sleep.
We
Yeah,
need to
we sh-
rotate, like
Yeah,
sleeping.
we
Like
definitely
I will
need
take.
to-
Yeah, we'll have
Definitely have
watches.
a watch.
Two
But
probably
people
won't.
watch.
I'm firmly of the mindset that he's going to be coming after us. Now that he knows who's with us, there's no way in hell he isn't.
Did you say Nestriel won't?
I won't. Look, man. I don't think you understand. Lure of Secrets plus that guy plus the Southern Mirkwood is really difficult for me to not just sit and pace over tonight.
Oh, so you're not gonna sleep?
God damn
No, I will be awake the whole time.
it. All right. Well, if you're going to be awake the whole time, I take off the white warg pelt that I wear around my waist and put it on your shoulders. And like, if you're going to pace tonight, at least bundle up.
No, this is really sweet and all, but are you giving you're giving me your loincloth to stay
Hey, it's
more
warm.
like a kilt.
It's more like a
Okay.
kilt, but yes, sure.
It covers
There, what
more
about
than the
pants?
loin, if that's relevant.
It covers
Uh.
more than the loin. I'm just saying.
That does help. I'll take it.
So I got not sleep and or have rotating serious watches. I sort of
Yeah.
always assume you do some sort of watch, of course. But is there anything special other than nobody's actually sleeping?
I'm gonna keep an eye on Wethro, probably.
I'm actually gonna have a conversation with her.
That works
And
too.
maybe have like double up on the watch instead of normal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 2 people per watch.
Yeah, there's a total of 9 of you, so you actually have a good opportunity to do some watching, as long as you trust NPCs.
Only one NPC at a time.
with a PC.
That's right.
And I think there's
I
a
want to talk
specific
to her.
rule not to allow Alred and Gliriel to be together on watch, right?
What?
Yeah, look,
I
man,
disagree strongly.
I'm sorry, dude. We can't. You can't be.
I trust them. That would be like saying Gundy and I can't be on the same.
Oh, you
That's a
definitely
very
cannot.
Oh
powerful
no, yeah,
combination.
you got a point there. Yeah, no, you know what? You guys should be on the same watch.
You couldn't keep watch with me? I think we would be an excellent pair. You have brilliant night vision. I can also see in the dark.
Yeah, because that's
I
that's
give a
what I'm
look
gonna
over
be
to
doing.
Willard.
I'm gonna be looking vigilantly.
Well, of course.
I honestly feel that no couples should do watches together.
So you and Willard can't? No, I'm just kidding.
So you and Willard can do a watch? Ah,
Hey.
I
God,
nudge
look at
Willard.
that.
I like women who threaten me with steel. That's
No.
She's
No way.
she's scowling, but she's cracking a small smile. I can see it.
Okay, Kellyanne, you mentioned you wanted to talk to Wethro.
I do. So to what extent should we be worried about this guy? What do you know of him?
He and his partner came to our land. They were the first outsiders to visit in that we remember.
Oh.
Partner?
Yes, older, somewhat similar, long beard. Uh, they wear the same robes.
What happened to his partner?
His partner left well before we did. But as they came, they said that they had come to the West seeking for answers against the darkness and found that we lived within it and spent a while with our people. In the end, they wanted to return, but they wanted not just to return by themselves, but for some of our people to go with them. And he managed to inspire a wanderlust, you might say, within my brother and I, for to see something new and different.
What was his goal for you guys? Because obviously it wasn't just to join him on a journey. There was a purpose. Was there not?
He believed that the realms of shadow needed to be united. Our realms and those others, Carndum, Mordor, I think he said. And my brother and I went to visit Carndum to bring messages from them to help unite Dulguldur and Carndum. But it did not go well for me. Well, worse for my
I see.
brother.
huh. Why did your people want an alliance with Dol Guldur? Or was it just Dol Guldur that was
It was a necromancer who wanted to form the alliance. Her people had nothing to do with it.
but then why would they accept an alliance if they had nothing to gain from it?
Yeah, what was it that who was trying to buy them for?
My father would have agreed with you, Willard. He did not see that there is a benefit to us aligning with the outside world at all. And perhaps that is true. Perhaps it is just was our desire to see the world that clouded our vision. But we certainly felt that he made that appeal that if the shadows did not stand together, then they would fall one by one when the true darkness came.
Did you, when you were in Dol Guldur, did you not see the differences between them and your people? The difference in, I don't know, energy, the darkness, how it felt.
They were certainly not elves, but we have little experience beyond our own borders.
I'm just curious as to why he sent people who knew nothing to talk to people in such a dangerous situation as that. Why couldn't he do it himself? Unless he meant for you guys to go there and die.
I feel like he already had tried, and that it was perhaps she pulls out the sword, right? This sort of thing that could be used as an offer. But when we talk about the betrayal, I feel that I was almost given as a gift rather than as a true diplomat, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense.
And certainly my brother's demise has been of great use to the Witch King.
Let's kind of circle back that his partner. You said they look similar. Do they go by? Do they call each other certain names
They
instead of their titles?
Like Bay or Boo.
No, like Allred or Willard. Do they call each other by their names?
they both refer to themselves as the Necromancer.
That's
That's it.
confusing. It's the same person?
If I had not seen them side by
feel like
side, I
I've heard
might
of
think so.
magic. Oh, okay.
Knowing what you do of him, what's the likelihood of him coming back to get you? If so, do you know of any weaknesses that we could exploit?
Like go for the eyes.
I do not know. I have not challenged his power. I have not seen it challenged.
Have you seen his power demonstrated in any sort of fashion?
They seem to have a way with the weather and the wilds, and certainly there are times when spirits come to their call.
Weather. Do you think this storm is his doing?
Without a doubt.
It did seem to come up very quickly.
He set the trap. He knew where we were.
It would not take much deduction to figure out where we are.
All right. Well, I think we should be ready sooner rather than later for a potential confrontation. I'd be surprised if we didn't. And about you, do you want, if he comes to you and he tries to convince you to go with him, I just want you to know that you do have friends here amongst us, genuine friends that mean for the best for you. Do not forget that. He, on the other hand, cares nothing for you. And we will fight for you alongside you if needed.
we will see what the night brings, I suppose. But thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so nighttime stuff.
I want to, with kind of how somber it is. I think Willard tries to sleep, but is kind of having trouble. And so at some point, I'm going to get up, like kind of put on my jacket and grab my stuff and walk over to the closer to the cave exit entrance and kind of stare out into get the cool, crisp air, looking at the darkness or the snow falling. And then I pull out my sword, my little short sword, and I close my eyes and I start very quietly, like talking to my mom, or like, I promise I will do my best to help the people who are in danger in this world, just like you did. And I know you're out there, and I know everything's going to be okay. I go back, and then I feel much better, and I go to sleep. Or at least try.
Nestriel, you said you were going to pretty much watch Wethril all night. Is that accurate?
Yeah. I just want to make sure that she's gonna be okay, because I don't trust. As much as I know he has a lot of things that I could probably um, get interesting information, I'm more concerned that Wethril is safe and comfortable and has someone here that she's willing to talk to if she needs. And constantly glancing at her is part of my whirling thought pattern of should we have stayed? Should I have tried to get information out of him? Would it have been safe there? Probably not. Would he have done something to her, us? Maybe he was harmless. Harmless in quotes.
Sure.
But yes.
So sometime in middle of the night, as you're like glancing there, you glance at her, you glance away and then you glance back, and she's gone.
Waking up the party!
Willard is already awake. He's muttering to his mother sword.
Well, get Gundir up first because he's a woodsman and a tracker, and then Kelly next because she is a woodsman and a tracker, and then Alred. And Gliriel and Legolas is still with us?
Oh yeah, Legolas. I forgot Legolas.
Never mind.
I'm
I'd
also
probably
a
get him
tracker.
up first.
But but Legolas is totally with the group. We're gonna assume that he was like tracking ahead or something during the last scene.
Yeah.
He was doing some scouting, and he's like comes back when you're coming back out of the cave, and you're like, no, not this cave. We're moving on.
Different cave.
It's like, okay, whatever. I just ran along the snow and it was fine. All that elf stuff.
Just the elf things.
Important things you forget.
Wethril is missing. I think we should try and find her. This is very, very poor weather to be alone in, let alone a potential enemy, very powerful enemy, in close proximity. Those of you who are good at this, go get them.
All right. I guess I'm tracking.
Yep.
Yeah, is there any like footprints?
Okay,
This
so
weather, be lucky.
Tracking an elf is not an easy task.
Yeah.
yeah, you don't see any footprints. I'll save you the roll there.
Yep.
From where she was last standing to anywhere
Yeah.
really.
I probably should have mentioned that to Nestriel at a certain point, but the
So
lesson
should we
learned.
bother rolling tracking?
Yes, we can track her. It's not as if
23.
if she can get away from us.
Don't forget you have
completely.
advantage.
Oh yeah, I know. That's why I got a better roll than the first one.
For survival, that's going to be a 25. Nice.
I also got a 25.
Woo!
Okay, there's no tracks, like I said.
Oh,
When I
Well-
said I'll spare you the roll.
But there's
Right.
Oh.
Well,
there's a taste in the air.
Is she
Uh,
still in the room?
if I was gonna guess,
We're just too excited to roll dice, man.
this,
I mean, yeah, if I was gonna guess,
I don't
would
get a
say
track.
She's probably heading back to that cave.
Well, then let's go. If she's going to face him, I would rather be with her.
Hmm.
Also, she has the sword that we kind of need to undo what happened to Glorfindel.
Right.
So,
Well, I don't.
uh,
I don't think she's gonna be gone permanently. I think she will come back. But yeah, all right. I don't see any reason we shouldn't go and check on her.
well, if you think she's going to return, would it be better to instead send Willid, as he is incredibly sneaky, and just have him spy on them?
No.
Willid.
Wow.
No offense to Willid. I'm just saying that this necromancer is up to no good. He has no intentions of leaving without her.
Well, we
And
don't
it's better
know
for him
that.
alive. Oh, we do. Like, people like that, he is pure evil. When I, got a look at him and really fully felt who he was, there was evil unlike anything I have felt before. And I see a lot of evil.
Wow.
How
Jeez.
evil in comparison to the wraith that we fought?
More.
Oh shit.
Wow.
All right, never mind. Let's go, everybody. I was gonna offer to stay back here, but that sounds equally dangerous.
Yep.
We all should stay together.
Damn it. Damn it. Damn it, Westrel. You had to be curious, didn't you?
Seems like a typical trait for elves.
We like learning.
Kenna, is there anything in Gladriel's book about the necromancer?
Ooh.
Good question.
Not a lot. There's some stuff about Dol Guldur and the, I mean, but to a large degree, what's happening in Dol Guldur is mostly happened after the book was written. They're talking about the darkness of the shadow before.
Or, sorry, what?
Most of what is in the book happened or is written before Dol Guldur started really going evil.
Okay.
So there's not a lot specific about the necromancer Dol Guldur in there.
Okay.
Okay, so party all gets together, grabs your stuff, and turns to head back down the pass, looking for Wethrow.
Yep.
On the way there, you do get to make a perception check. It is in fact a perception. It is at night and it is in the wilderness, so add applicable bonuses.
That's a 29.
Well, I'm not even gonna bother rolling then.
I'm gonna make a stealth check.
yeah. I only got a 14.
27.
30.
Okay, both Gundyr and Kellyan, and Will, you got a. Oh, that was a stealth check though.
Yeah, stealth. I'm doing stealth. They're doing.
So, side note, Gundyr and Kellyan, you don't know where Willard went, so throw
Right.
that out there.
He's gone.
Willard is also
But he's-
missing now. I'm not sure
Well,
you're
he's
as worried
not.
about
He's
it.
not who we're looking for.
He can handle himself.
But with the 27 plus, you get out there, you're scanning around. There's obviously a little bit of break in the snow that's still going on, but you actually look up the side of the mountain, and like about 150 feet up the side, in just kind of pretty much almost up from where your camp was, you can see two figures standing on a ledge. The sort of thing that nobody would ever see except for, like, I don't know, wilderness people like you.
Right.
Oh, fuck.
And one of them is clearly Wethrol, the other is definitely the Necromancer, and they appear to be having a conversation.
Eh,
All right.
no.
Well, looks like I'm climbing.
We're gonna shoot this bastard down.
Whoa! Hey,
What?
if he hasn't acted adversely against us, what cause do we have
He's-
to act adversely against him?
Pure evil?
Let me climb up there first, and then you can start shooting.
If you're gonna climb, I'm gonna climb.
All right, then we can both climb and not shoot him.
I'm actually gonna do that like kind of like the Mulan thing where I shoot an arrow on like as high as I can go with a rope and then
And then
try to
pull
heal
your
myself up that
arrow
way.
back down with the rope. It's kind of fun.
And pull
No.
your arrow back down
I'm
with
gonna
the
shoot it
rope.
like into the ice, and so like the ice is gonna like hold on to it, like very well.
Because that's how arrows work. Because
That is how it works. Because I
an
said
arrow
so.
Middle
can
Earth.
super support your entire body weight.
I'm not that heavy, man.
Listen, there's like a elf standing on top of snow over there, shooting an arrow into a wall. Not any less believable.
Kelly, you absolutely can try such an attempt. It is relevant that your arrow shaft itself is not built for human weight support.
Well, fuck. Never mind.
But it would depend somewhat on the angle.
Okay.
Time, wasn't it? Oh my gosh, it's
It would probably support Willard.
Okay, I'll do that for him. Wherever he may be. I don't know.
Well, while you're doing that, I'm just going to climb.
18.
Okay. Gundyr, give me athletics.
Yep.
And then I'm gonna climb after that.
I
23 for athletics.
I guess I'll climb up after him.
Is there a not climbing option?
I mean, you can
This
wait
is a
down
terrible
here.
idea.
This
Gundyr,
isn't.
I can't believe this.
This is not safe. I want to be clear.
You want me to hang out down here alone?
No, you and I can go around the other way.
No,
We'll take the
no.
long way.
Glariel is
Well-
also still down there because she uses a bow.
Let's be clear, too, that as soon as Gundyr starts climbing, Legolas is going to climb, too.
God.
Thanks,
Showing
Legolas.
up, brother. I mean,
I
what?
got an 18 in my athletics.
Let's go the long way around.
Astro, what? Come on.
What? I'm just encouraging friendly rivalry.
Friendly rivalry, huh?
You two got along when we left Rivendell. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, yeah, but now we're in a physical challenge, and I can't lose this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Kellyanne has put up a rope. Gundyr and Ulrich have started climbing, but both slowly. Gundyr, what was your number?
23.
23, okay. Legolas is also climbing that direction. Willard, you have hidden. Do you want to take Kellyanne's rope, or do you want to do something else?
Rope seems like it would be difficult to hide on with.
You can mimic the wind.
You can mimic the wind.
As you're climbing, you can make wind noises. I mean, I'm not sure there's a reason to, but you could do it.
Wind,
Cool. Kind of like when you're doing the Mission Impossible theme song in your head as you're trying to sneak around. Totally legit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna try to get a little bit closer. I'm really trying to get to a spot where I'm not like if I get engaged, I can run away and not get stuck in snow.
Well,
But I'm close enough to help if I need to. That's what I'm.
So, Gundyr, I have good news and I have bad news.
Okay.
Good news is you're out climbing Legolas.
Yes.
Bad news,
What-
it's really
what's-
tough to climb the side of a cliff face in the middle of a snowstorm, and your progress is slow.
Right.
But you've not fallen off yet. Allred rolled high enough not to fall off either, so that's good for him. The
That is good news.
Legolas also rolled high enough not to fall off, so that's we're at least in the no one's plummeting down the cliff.
Right. No one's
Stage yet.
falling down to the cliff and getting hurt.
I'm gonna ready my bow. And if it looks like the necromancer is gonna like touch her or anything like that, I'm gonna shoot it at him.
Okay. At this point, it's pretty clear that you're there, so both Wethril and the Necromancer like look your direction as people are like shooting arrows and climbing up that direction. The
Hi! We were just worried. Are you okay?
This is all a very bad idea.
Yes. Yes, it is.
the necromancer turns to Wethril. They appear to have a somewhat animated conversation, brief conversation. With the wind and weather, it's pretty impossible to hear. And okay, I'm gonna roll dice.
Oh.
Okay, I'm gonna roll dice.
If
Darn
like
it.
Wethriel needs to make a roll of some kind, that conversation that I had earlier should give her an extra d6.
Okay.
Extra D6.
Well, I mean, it is the right conversation. It's the don't kill them all conversation. So you're good there. Your intuition is on. He raises his staff. There's a bright flash of light that's not like your like clean white light, but kind of like that blue. It's really bright LED thing. That's, you know,
Dirty white line.
it's like or dead white. You know, there's not life or warmth to it. And he leaps from the cliff uh, as wings of shadow
Well,
spread from his sides there, and he starts gliding off into the darkness.
Oh, that's a lot of magic for a place that doesn't show off its magic very often.
No kidding.
Jesus.
oh, boy.
Secretly, somewhere inside of me, Nestriel thought, at least briefly, oh, that's so cool, I want to do that. Oh, wait, no, it's shadow magic. Bad.
Damn it, Nestriel.
It's tempting.
Look! I have desires, man.
Shadow
Yeah.
point.
Do we all get a shadow point? That was pretty shadowy.
No. I can't do
Well,
more.
if your thing is lure of power or lure of secrets, maybe
Oh.
you should
No.
make a roll.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Hunted by the shadow. Done.
I didn't do good on that one. That's a 6.
Have that, gosh, I wish I knew how to do that shadow point.
Oh, thanks. I love those guys. Can I also do a shadow lore roll on that? I want to know how powerful a spell that must have been
Sure.
via shadow magic shenanigans. Ooh, a 20,
20.
which
Not
is
a combined.
still pretty awful for me because I rolled an.
Yeah. It looked really impressive, but you have remember there were definitely tales from the first age of creatures that could kind of subsume the form of shadow and that like, so it's not unheard of to be able to do something like that. But but you don't have any real recollection of any of those creatures since really the fall of Morgoth. Haven't been around very often. Just rumors.
Oh, okay.
So, what does Wethril do?
She is standing there. I guess she like steps back into the shadows of the cliff face, and then you don't see her anymore. This is probably mostly relevant to like Gundyr, who's like halfway there.
Uh,
Could I use my like shadow sense to kind of track her? I mean, is that a thing?
I mean, what's your
Yeah, she's-
range?
Shh.
Hmm.
Wisdom check.
would we have enough time for one of
Doesn't
us
say.
to shout out to her?
I mean, you could definitely shout out to her.
Yeah, if I can shout out just like, hold on a second, wait. Don't go disappearing into the shadows again. Come on.
Whatever it is that you seek to do, it's easier to do it amongst friends and by yourself.
Well, I don't know if she's listening or not, but you could ask her because she's standing right next to you, Kellyanne.
Hey!
Poof.
Oh,
Long time
phew.
no see.
Damn
How
it,
does-
she's
I gotta ask her how she
gone.
does that.
You okay?
I'm fine, she says.
You know,
Fine.
Gundyr, that'd be real nice if we could do that right now.
Yeah, it's a nifty trick. She said she could teach me how to do it. But I don't know if I've got the patience for it.
So
Well,
while
I'm
they're
gonna try to get down
climbing-
now.
Yeah.
While they're climbing down, you want some? Like, I break off some bread and I give it to her, and yep. And I'm like, all right, well, this should be fun.
Oh,
Do you want to make a bet to see who's gonna get down first?
Hopefully those Northmen will catch us if we fall.
yeah, I think you should make a bet because I already rolled for Legolas, so his answer is notable. So what's the bet?
I bet her. I bet her 5 gold pieces.
That who is going to fall first?
Gold? How do you
Oh,
have gold?
Who's
No,
gonna
not that-
Who's
fall
silver?
or who's gonna get down first?
Well,
No, who's gonna
get
get down first?
I
Who's
definitely
gonna hit
said
That's
get
the
down.
same thing.
whoever,
fall
whoever's
first,
gonna get down
and-
first? And then she can name her whatever her bet.
She's
Mine would
still
be 5 gold pieces.
just distracted by all that magic.
You okay? You said you were fine, but I get the feeling that you're not.
Okay, well, it looks like by the time they're done deciding on the bet, that Legolas is already down because he got a 20 natural crit to descend,
That's right.
and he does it in a
Um,
fantastic elfin fashion.
You know,
Team Legolas.
I could have gotten down here faster if I'd just fallen.
Yeah, that's one way to do it.
I'm going to make a show of complimenting Legolas and his speed and then go over and hug Gundyr.
I did good too. I'm
You
just
did.
saying.
You did very good. Do you want your loincloth back?
No, you can have it.
Okay. Uh,
And it's a kilt, I'll have you know. Covers
think,
most of you.
I think
Okay.
that's a good time for head pats.
Withroll, how do you do that?
She can move through the shadows.
There's
Is it your
there's
awesome
a-
elvenness?
probably. We can see and understand the paths that exist within the shadows. It is
That
but
would
a
be
step.
a really cool trick.
Apparently, it's not out of the realm of possibility for others to learn this skill.
Is it shadow magic? Just like the
It
I don't think
involves
so.
shadow, and many would consider it magic that are not elves.
Fair enough.
Mortal races.
Rude.
Hey man, I can't do magic either.
Well,
I mean, you can basically do magic. You're a doctor.
okay, so I have good news and bad news. The good news is that you get morning dawns before too long. The bad news is that rushing back out into the wilderness and climbing walls and stuff like that gave you
It's
guys
gonna
another
give us
realm of
another
exhaustion.
Round of exhaustion.
Oh snap!
Ah, hooray! Yay!
one round.
Damn.
exhaustion.
Fun
Only
times.
3 more to kill you all off.
Oh yeah.
It's okay. Any remaining levels of exhaustion you'll have rolls to avoid. So
Well, one
Probably.
exhaustion's not the worst thing in the world.
But morning dawns. Wethril has been very relatively tight-lipped and introspective this evening, and uh, but when morning dawns, she puts her hood back over her eyes and follows you all up there. It is still snowing, so it's going to be kind of a rough trip through the pass, and you're kind of expecting it to take longer than you had thought.
Mm.
I'm gonna like pull like I want to talk to her some more.
Perhaps it
During
would be
this
best
journey.
to give her some time to figure out what she wants to say. This is a difficult thing for her to come to terms with. And
I
she'll
didn't
tell us
ask.
about it when she's
I don't recall
ready.
asking permission.
Ooh.
Okay, Kelly. I will redact my advice. Do as you will.
Thank you. I will.
We know.
we know.
Yikes.
There are a couple of. It's going to be a couple of more days up on the pass, and it's definitely a struggle. But the good news is that we're through one of my 12 rolls, and we just have one more to go
We
before
only
you
have one
arrive.
more to go, guys.
And
We can do it.
yeah, I'm excited about this one. So, but it is probably if Kelly and you are going to corner Wethril and have a conversation with her, we should do that before the next one as you are traveling up the mountain pass.
Okay. I'm not gonna ask you any questions. I am just gonna say whatever I need to say, and we could just walk in silence. Um, but I do know quite a bit when it comes to darkness and your past and past, um, kind of being so interwoven with a lot of dark things. But don't do what I did and believe that you were so alone in this. You do have people you can rely on, and we can take care of ourselves as well as we can take care of you too. That's all I needed to say. And if you do need to talk, I'm here. That's what I do.
Okay. Well, it's back to lookout time then, because Willard, you get to make another perception roll to
Me?
spot the personage of power that you've encountered on the travels.
Uh-oh.
I mean, I'm sure that it won't
Cool,
be
cool,
the
cool,
necromancer this
cool.
time around, although
What? Twice in a row? What are the odds of that?
I mean,
I
I've
just
heard there are
passed
two of
one
them, so
Well,
maybe it's the other one.
If I didn't,
Maybe it's the other one.
Oh boy.
They hunt in pairs.
if I didn't see him passively, I definitely did see him actively.
Okay. In this particular case, you're looking at a target number that's derived directly from the journey, which is 17. So,
So not close.
so you didn't make it. Okay. Uh, just thinking for a sec. The
It's all good.
missing
GM
perception
will fix
checks.
that.
You have just kind of reached the top of the pass, so you can look down now on the other side. That it still looks like it's going to be a snowy, cold slog the rest of the way, and you started heading your way down down the pass. Um, when Allred, you're going to make an animal handling check for me. Target number 17 for Duskheart, so adding the appropriate advantage/bonuses for that.
Yeah, you can do this.
Yeah, should
And
be
then
pretty easy.
Duskart fell off a cliff.
No!
I mean, probably
No!
Not his horse, man. Come on.
not.
I mean, they did it in the
Let's
movies,
see.
The Lord of the Rings.
They did it in the movie.
They
This
No,
sent
they
Bill
weren't
the pony
named. They
home.
were unnamed horses, man.
They
What'd you
were
say the
unnamed
target was?
horses.
17.
17.
Oh, well, I rolled a 17. I don't need to use my advantage.
Okay. Uh, Dustcart definitely reacts to something and then right after that, you know you've got a good grip on him. The coming out of the snow and mist, the visibility is really low right now. That's why Willard couldn't do his thing. Um, is a huge dark form in the air, so with wings, and it just comes right over the top of the two of you, and your horse. You know, obviously the horse is already kind of um,
Freaked
skittering,
out.
and then it's gone, right? Because it just comes through once. You guys did not get a good look at it.
What was that?
What?
Did any of my dark senses tingle?
Well, how close are you to Wethril?
Pretty damn close.
No, pretty
They're
well.
always tingling.
So, but the thing is it any different than normal?
Yeah, no,
River?
I'm on board, but that was mostly joke. It happened really fast, but you didn't catch any tingling.
It doesn't seem to be anything bad. At least what I could
You
get
don't
from
feel anything in your tingler?
it. No, but then again, it went by far too quick. So I can't say for with 100% accuracy.
Sometimes
well,
it's hard
we
to
need
tell when
to-
it's quick.
I mean,
Maybe we need to move faster and get out of here.
I don't know if you have any memories of the necromancer flying off on wings, but
I mean, yes. Yes, I think we do.
I look over at Wethriel and I was like, "Did you get a good look at it?"
Wethril seems pretty on edge. She actually has her bow out.
I'd do the same thing.
Okay,
is it?
you start. You only get like about 5 steps down the path when you can see the form coming out of from the direction it came back towards you.
Ah,
Oh,
cover!
fuck.
I hide. Are there any shadows around?
It is daytime, but there are plenty of shadows among the rocks and the like.
Cool. You can totally hide. I got a very good.
I mean, I think Willard is making a relatively smart decision here, as he is the most likely to be eaten, picked up and eaten by any predator. You know,
I
Hobbits and rabbits share many defensive techniques.
Right. Running
Gross.
real fast.
Running
and
away,
hiding.
running to the nearest hole I can find.
but the good news is that it comes through this time, and you can get a better look at it because it's coming pretty darn close to the ground, and it does look like a large eagle, like a very, very, very large eagle.
Hey!
And
do I have any idea if we should be terrified of this?
you don't. Um,
I put my axe down.
Certainly, Gundyr and the Northmen would have heard of the great eagles, because the eagles' eyrie is not too far from Ursa's place.
The eagles are no enemy to us.
Hey, can you talk to this one?
Put my bow away.
Well,
Yeah, I mean,
it is landing down on a big rock boulder thing about 20 feet down the trail.
yeah,
A big-
I go
a
up
big
to the
rock, you
eagle.
say?
Boulder, and it is really big. I mean, it's like
Oh, yeah.
taller than any of you, and
Mhm.
has a huge wingspan.
Yes.
And it's got piercing eagle eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, it's still a predator, guys.
but it says,
Turn invisible.
What?
"What a strange find to find a bunch of elves out in the snow with some humans."
The eagle spoke?
Yes.
I believe
It's been
that
a long time since I've seen an eagle speak. We welcome you, great eagle.
I cannot contain my curiosity for why such a group such as yourself would be traveling in conditions like this. It would seem hard and exhausting.
It is,
It
in fact,
is.
hard and exhausting. But we do what we must. Believe me, if I had wings like yours, I wouldn't be floundering here in the snow.
We're floundering somewhere much warmer.
Yeah, that's good.
Uh,
Hmm.
where do they come? Where do they come from? Where did you come from? Where are you going?
So we have seen that there are things about the mountains. There's a shadow that's been cast over here, so I have been watching.
Mm,
Have you seen such shadow?
yes, we have.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a shadow definitely dwelling within the mountains. Um, I don't know what to make of it, but it is. I suppose it's beyond my ken.
Hmm. Well, you have a fun journey then. I will go and search for this shadow.
Do you have any news for us? Any news from the north or the south, or anything interesting you've seen in your flights?
Hmm.
Yeah. Give us the news.
Have you not heard of the earthquake to the south?
Earthquake?
That the earth itself split to the east of Mirkwood?
East of Mirkwood?
Hmm.
Oh, interesting. Did
That
anything.
What? Where exactly east of the Marshwood?
In the bite.
mm,
That can't be good.
No.
I see.
Any unusual activity thereafter?
Hmm. I have heard rumors that the horse lords are taking a look. We will see.
Hmm.
What are
But
those
That's on
I've
the
mean?
edge of our lands.
most of my eyes have been here in the north, for the orcs seem particularly on the move right now.
As they should be. There's been quite a commotion.
I would say organized. It's never good for you landwalkers when the orcs get organized.
Yeah, that's
Very
that's
true.
most definitely an understatement, but yes.
What news have you brought me?
Uh, well, we've managed to defeat a great evil in the west. Uh, we managed to seal away an ancient, some sort of new enemy that the shadow has created, and seal it away. Uh, but now we're heading east so that we can deal with another agent of the darkness,
We have encountered in our journey a necromancer. So proceed with caution.
which is the shadow that is in these mountains.
The necromancer would leave his keep in Dulguldur?
We think that there might be more than one.
Information stands to support there are two of them.
There's one in these mountains, and there is one who remains in the forest.
Well, that seems confusing.
Yeah, you're telling me.
You're telling us.
I only watch things that come close to the Erie.
Hmm.
but it is
As you should.
always frightening to see what has happened to the birds and beasts of Mirkwood.
Mm,
They may be lesser, but still, one worries that such corruption could affect
right.
speaking
What
peoples
affects
as
one
well.
could affect the others.
Hmm. Hmm.
Oh, the world is going to shit.
Well, all I know is that I've got faith in the North, in the Northmen, and I feel like they have they'll keep these lands safe as best they can.
Where's their Jon Snow?
Where's their Jon Snow?
They
That's
forgot
me.
the John part, and they just brought snow.
That's
See,
me.
They just
I would
brought
be,
snow.
like-
Well,
I never slay faster than I can see.
Mm-hmm.
well, good luck on your journey. It looks to be difficult.
Indeed
Is
so.
there any
I don't
path
suppose
or-
you'd be willing to expedite this process.
You wish us to carry you?
I mean, if it's not too much trouble. I mean, obviously, it's a big ask. I wouldn't ask this if I wasn't, like, sort of necessary. But if you don't want to, I understand. That's completely your choice, and I respect your decision. We'll continue walking as is. But if you would be willing to lend us a hand, we would be most appreciative.
A wing.
Or claw? Talon? Talon?
Right.
Anyways, well, that does look to be a very tasty horse you have there. Perhaps we could look at exchange.
Wow. No deal.
Okay, well, yeah, the horse is off the menu.
You know what? I
apologize.
bet the horse thinks you look tasty also.
This is a very special horse.
Willard, no.
I pat Willard on the head.
What? It's a compliment.
No.
Okay. Well,
Better than looking nasty.
okay. Then I wish you the best of luck,
Mm.
Thank you.
Eagle says. And
Thank
You
you.
guys don't want to trade Allred's horse for
For a free ride.
yeah.
No.
I feel like the Eagle got a pretty firm answer on that one. And
Right, yeah.
it's not going to, unlike a necromancer, it's not going to try and whittle around that answer a little bit. It gets, it gets a no. It's going to go, yeah, okay, that's a no.
All right, well, that's
I'm
fair.
moving on.
Good.
Can
So
we
it's taking off.
give it something else before? Got anything else to? Hey, what about this plate?
No. He,
Willard, I don't know if you know this, but eagles don't really use plates.
But it's useful nonetheless. It's good
Is
luck.
it? Is it though?
It is. It is very useful. Don't let him tell you any different.
Will it give me a traditions roll to convince it to take your plate as it leaves and then store it in its nest?
Tradition.
Tradition.
I'm going to go with the 17 for the target number on
Tradition.
this as well.
I rolled a 2.
Yeah, so it's like flying off as you're.
I'm gonna spend inspiration. I'm gonna do it.
Yes.
Oh my god.
He's gonna spend
This is so
inspiration
worth
on
it.
this.
I got a 9.
Wait, total or is that the roll?
That's 7 plus 2 is 9.
I really want to see this work. Can I give one of my inspirations to him?
We're just gonna funnel inspiration to
No,
Willard.
mainly because the idea of him giving up his plate is just so funny.
It is kind of funny.
Well,
to an eagle of all things.
Right, exactly. I want to see this work.
The eagle
What if
is
you-
on its way off and flies off
Damn
without
it.
the plate.
Shit. Oh,
Hmm. need to make up a story, like a selling point for these plates, maybe that involves eagles.
What? A selling point? Are you planning on selling them?
No, it's just that nobody else seems to care about plates as much as I do.
I mean, it's mostly just eagles that don't care about plates.
Nobody else here is a hobbit.
So I've got good news. That the grandeur of running into one of the great eagles and talking to it is enough to remove one shadow point from anyone here in the group.
Yeah.
So if you have a shadow point, you can reduce them by one.
My
Woo!
God. Finally.
I am shadow pointless.
I'm getting there. Couple
Yeah.
more.
And not too much else exciting happened there, but the concept of using these game mechanics to turn your eagles into your patron or the eagles area into your sanctuary sounds like something that should be explored.
Mm.
Because the rules are there, I think, but not today. For the rest of today, you're all going to have to make one more avoid exhaustion for the rest of your trip roll. So this is essentially a survival.
All right.
Although you can
Ooh, not that
substitute
one.
Constitution for your trait if you want.
Is this the guide roll?
No, this is an individual roll for all of you,
Yeah, individuals roll
Oh,
Constitution
just to see how
or
exhausted
survival.
you are
I see.
upon
20.
arrival at Ursa's.
23.
Constitution?
If you could replace Constitution with Wisdom and Survival if you want.
Ooh, wisdom.
I got a 16.
That only fails by one, Allred.
Oh, nuts.
Aww.
I did not make it then.
20.
For you, Allred, tell you how amazing you were at handling your horse, and that you did not break a sweat at all. You get a D6.
Okay.
Ooh,
Hey, look, I
Pretty
got a
impressive.
17.
Yay!
Who's your horse? Ooh.
I'm
You and your
checked out.
horse.
Thank
Okay,
you.
well, mostly for cosmetic reasons, but or purposes, I guess. Your fellow characters along with you. Interestingly enough, Legolas and Gliriel both failed and are picking up that point of exhaustion that Nestriel's getting. So it's not good to be an elf. Although, as all the elves, Lethril almost made it. But the Northmen both make it. So Durm and
Of course
Corbin
they did.
are just fine.
The Rise of Man.
Northman for life.
So this is your chance to attack the elves there, all you humans, because they're all more exhausted than you are.
Oh, I thought we'd just gloat a little bit.
I mean, we'll just gloat a little bit. Maybe I'll carry Legolas.
Oh, you need a hand?
I mean, you don't notice when you're carrying him because he's so light.
Right. I was like, I could
Or-
have.
He
I could have
allowed
like.
himself to be carried?
No, he did not allow
Or
himself to be carried.
I can just make the elves tea, and we all lose a level of exhaustion, which I will do.
Darn elves.
Blah, blah, blah.
You take it away from me.
Okay, we're arriving at Ursa's. Woohoo! I'm sure that you.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm glad we finally got to the combat.
What?
Well, I mean,
Got
we've been
you.
2 sessions without 2.5 now sessions without.
You don't
combat,
understand how the Northmen work.
Right?
You know, a heads up would have been nice.
The guide is making a D8 roll.
A D8. Gotcha. Do I add anything or?
At this point, there's -2 because of the terrain.
Right, -2. But what do I add? Wisdom, survival,
Nothing.
or
Nothing.
nothing? Oh, great. -2 D8. Well, that's still pretty good. That's a 5.
A long but worthy journey.
Woo!
You feel every mile that you've walked the aches and pains that beset their bodies. But the aches are good ones.
Yeah. Sure they are.
Just tell yourself that.
They're you're building up muscle.
I'm good on that, thank you.
You get to remove that level of
You're not
exhaustion I
good
just gave
enough.
you as arriving. So
Yay!
I think everybody at this point, if we consider the tea, is pretty much exhaustionless. So
Right.
that's pretty
Yay.
impressive to make it all the way through there without some levels of exhaustion. That's good.
You
Which has
seem to
been good.
misunderstand the fact that I'm here to pump you up.
We are here
Oh,
to bump
wow.
you up.
As you get to Ursa's place, it's up in the mountains. You struck north after you got done with the pass, and it's not too far there after you wind your ways there. Gundir really knows his way around here, so it's not like there's any surprises. And you get up to what is essentially a grouping of, I don't know if you'd want to call them huts. I'm not sure you should call them yurts, but what is definitely not like fancy dwellings up in the woods here or the mountains. A scarred, pelt wearing, warg skull headed person that looks kind of like Gundir comes out to greet you, at least in dress, right? There's Gundir, good to see you again. And you know it's some Northman
Right.
that generally hangs out here and helps out Ursa a lot.
Right. It's good to see you again. Go in for big hugs.
Yeah, they each take 3 points of damage and they're done.
We each take 3 points of damage for our hugs.
What is this?
This is the realm of men.
This is the
Welcome.
realm of men.
We have
I'm-
cookies.
I'm
We
glad you
managed to
could-
make our way here from Rivendell.
Oh,
I mean, the worst part of the trip was running out of mead.
I see that Legolas has found Nestriel.
Yes. Yes, he did.
I'm going to. It is very good that he has found you. As a side note, he's not going up to Nestriel when he says this. He's going up to Gliriel
Right.
and calling her
Nope,
Nestriel.
that's
That's the wrong one. Wrong one, bud.
Hi, hello.
Oh, sorry.
It's the one with the warg pelt.
I sort of assumed the warg pelt had been given back by now.
Nope.
Oh.
Nope, she needs it.
Nope.
Because
Okay.
it's cold.
how chivalrous.
Gundir, you are aware that I am in an incredibly puffy coat right now.
And you need a puffier coat. So, dress in
Okay.
layers. It's cold outside.
Yeah, Gundir. It is.
I feel like this is one of those marking your territory things, and I don't know how I feel about it.
Too bad. This is a Northman tradition.
Okay.
Well, it is good that you were able to make it up here. The winters come like we've had a second winter up here lately, and it's been pretty
I've
harsh.
noticed.
But you're certainly welcome.
It's good to see.
Unfortunately, Ursa's off, so she's not here.
Of course she is. Just when I finally get to think that I can talk to her
Will
again,
she be
she's
back
off
soon?
again.
Yeah, she traveled south to help the horsemen with their
Oh,
problem. I
Well,
hear
that's
that
really
the
good
earth
news.
is split, and Ursa wanted to see it for herself.
do you have any more information about it?
I'm awaiting Ursa's return.
Wow.
In the interim, there's probably something you can help us with, since you have learned elves with you, correct?
Yes, we do.
Well, come this way then. Unless we could have some stew and heat and sit around a fire for before we get down to business. It has been a long journey.
Hmm.
I'm
think we
more
could
than willing
handle.
to help.
I think we could handle having a stew and a mead before we get down to business.
Yeah. Let's get down to business to defeat the orcs
After
after we eat.
Christina, don't encourage him.
It's so great.
You must be swift as a coursing
Sea
river.
river, mysterious as the dark side of.
The moon.
Thank you.
Kellen and Gundyr, you guys can sing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course we can sing.
Well, not
Did
very
We-
well.
We had quite a bit of
Oh.
a duet a while ago.
Oh, that
Excuse
is-
you, sir. What?
I go to eat stew.
Food,
Ah.
warmth, and shelter is brought to all of you. There is room. There's basically like a longhouse where you guys can stay and sleep in the whole lot. They
Mhm.
bring you into one of them, as well as the mini yurts type things that are around. But that's where the big fire is, and there's quite a few other Northmen around, and North
man,
women,
this-
which are the same thing. Anyways,
Right. They're the same thing.
but just to be clear,
Yeah, no, this place is great. Like, you guys have to try the honey cakes because those things are amazing. Also, the meat is pretty good, especially at this time of year. And the best part about winters up here is that just about any fruit you can imagine is pickled in honey. It is dynamite.
Pickled in honey?
You guys have
Yes.
dynamite pickled in honey?
How could you
Dynamite pickled in honey.
with honey? Is pickled in honey like pickled vinegar, honey?
You don't understand. You can pickle just about anything in honey. And it is delicious. I'm not lying.
Pickle.
like bring us some pickled peaches. It's great.
you're not likely to find peaches up here, but you are absolutely likely to find like apple type fruits.
I mean,
and
yeah, at least
and
pickled apples.
they're coming in. Although North have been doing some pretty good trading, so who knows what you might find. Either way, it's essentially been sitting in honey, so you're talking like a honey-covered fruit, which probably tastes really good.
It is. And if you haven't actually had fruit pickled in honey, it's candy. Oh my god.
Yeah, candy is the word I would use. The fun part is you can also just like stick it to the side of things, and it just stays there for a while.
Yeah, that's true, but it's not rotten and it's completely fresh.
And if you do it wrong, your hands will get stuck together when you're done. You'll have to lick them apart.
Right, you'll have to lick your hands.
But it's generally considered an okay problem.
What I'm saying is that everything is delicious here.
Well, now I know the origin of his sweet tooth.
What are you saying?
Just like sweet things.
Well, as it turns out, you all mostly know way more than the Northmen that are in here about the goings on of things. So you most in conversations, you're getting pretty much lots of conversation about the weather and what it's doing, and maybe some migration patterns of the elk and the like. But there's not a lot of this is what's going on in the world kind of conversation that's here, and it's also at a very different level than Rivendell. One might consider this place not like Rivendell.
What?
What?
I
They're
can't
so
imagine why.
similar.
They're so similar.
So
Ah,
okay. Unless anyone does anything crazy, there's the good news here with Gundyr. There's not any real reason for like traditions rolls or anything. You guys know this place. They mostly know you, and you've got Legolas along, who's also been here before. He came here, pick up Thorben and Dern,
mhm.
and so there's a lot of good conversation there, and the like.
I mean, for the most part, I try to get Westriel sort of to talk to some of the older groups in this in our village, because a lot of her ideology kind of sounds a lot similar to ours. And I'd like to have her
Oh,
talk
right.
to some of our elders.
Right. So when you say Westriel, I'm going to assume that could either be Nestriel or Wethril.
Wethril.
And
Right.
I'm going to go with
Either
Wethril
one.
in this case.
Yeah.
Later
Anyways.
on, after they merge into one, then we'll call them Westriel.
Oh no!
Oh,
Super
What?
Saiyan.
think about all the things I'll know about the shadow, and not all of them will be literally the shadow.
Making a
You'll
note.
also know how to pickle things in honey.
Oh boy.
Making a note to eventually combine Wethril and Nestriel into one character.
Nestril, that's an important skill you need to learn.
That's one of those
Pickling
GM reach
things in
goals,
honey. Ooh.
stretch goals.
Stretch goals.
It's not one of the real campaign goals, but if you get it, you check it off
Right.
and think, yeah, that was great.
Yeah, because Wethril definitely seems like she'd be interested in our philosophy and ideology, so I think she'd
Sure.
benefit from talking to some of our elders.
Yeah, and there'll be more to be said about that later, but definitely she is interested in that conversation and is happy to go off and do that.
I'd rather have her talking to Yrsa herself, but apparently she's just off somewhere doing stuff, which is always the goddamn case.
I
Yeah,
was
you
looking
should-
forward to finally meeting her.
So was I. I was gonna introduce you and everything.
Not dang.
You need to get one of those elven people that just sit in their halls all the time and never do anything as your leader.
Right.
Well,
yeah.
we're gonna be
Because
there
then you know
soon.
where they are.
That's the thing, is like, we know where Thranduil is at all friggin' times, but Urza, she's here, she's there, she's everywhere.
Your odds of Thranduil being in Thranduil's halls when you get there, not 100%, but pretty close.
But basically 100%.
You're around Apatahydrid.
It's okay.
How
For
will
all
then
you
proceed
know,
to spend the rest of my
Dol
time
Guldur
in
has
desert.
overridden the woodland realm already, and now you'll find nothing but evil spiders and rotted trees.
Cool.
But-
Good path. Good path.
Good
This
path,
is fine.
good path.
But
Let me just fall directly into misery.
we were so hopeful a couple of sessions ago. Anyways, so after dinner, the rest of you are brought into like kind of the Ursa's main conference place. It's a big round yurt thing, and it's kind of
memories.
it's not necessarily where this is not a sleeping place, but it's where activity happens. Gundyr had a lot of talk and training here. This is where generally the elders would gather for conversations, those kind of things.
This is where I learned to be an adult.
Yeah. So Gundyr,
Which
as you
may
walk
say
in,
a lot or not a lot.
as you walk in, there at one side, kind of where the important stuff is, you look that way right away, and you can see that on a bed of furs there is a big, beautiful, gleaming axe, and you recognize it. So as your fellow Northman is like, well, we've been trying to figure out the significance of this axe. You already obviously know that it's
I'm
Durin's
already
axe.
drawn to it because it's beautiful.
That looks
And the last time you
very
saw it,
familiar.
Durin had it with him when you were in Moria.
Where did you guys get this?
That's not good.
Or
Well-
is it?
Well,
The box is heading to Moria, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, but that never. Where did you guys get this? This is. Oh, I grabbed the axe. I need to really touch it and fucking look at it in depth because it is gorgeous craftsmanship.
Why
Okay, well,
hasn't this been returned?
it's
Is
the
it-
most
is it gorgeous,
fantastic
Gundyr?
thing you've ever held.
Oh.
The most beautiful, well-balanced, mythical, powerful axe you've ever held.
I'm gonna
Hands down.
cry. Look.
Those things I'll
the
know.
Oh.
I'll never compete with.
Oh, man.
You can give him a lot more than that axe can.
Yeah. But I'll never
no,
look like that axe.
no.
I'll never look like that.
Thank God.
Where,
So
yeah.
seriously though, how did you guys
Yeah,
find this axe?
seriously, where did you get this axe?
Okay, so yeah, it's only +3 to attack and damage. That's probably the most relevant thing you get so far. But anyways,
Oh my god. All
No,
right.
we like why
And
this needs to be returned.
oh well, we didn't know what it was, although I guess we do now for sure.
Yes.
Our
How did they get here?
some of our scouts pulled the dwarf out of the snow and ice about a week ago.
hmm,
Dwarf.
He looked
The-
starved and frozen and was clutching that axe.
Is
So
he
he's dead.
still here?
We do have the body of the dwarf, yes.
oh, well, okay, so he is dead.
I think it would be best to send the body along to Durian so that he knows who did this.
Do you mind if I have a look at the body before you send it back?
No problem at all.
This is so bizarre.
Well, how could just a regular dwarf steal something that has never left the dwarven king's side?
Yeah, God, yeah, I know. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. How could somebody have taken this? It's a precious heirloom. It's like, look at the craftsmanship.
Yeah, you keep saying that like every minute.
I mean, it's basically the most valuable thing the dwarves have that they talk about. I mean, there might also be the rings of power, but other than that, like this is it.
I'm telling you, this axe could kill a wraith.
But it does not
Well
belong to
then.
us.
I know it doesn't belong to us, but I mean, it's also here and it doesn't really belong to the Northmen, so, like, maybe we can just take a roundabout time of giving it back to them.
No, the sooner we can give it back, the
Ooh,
better.
seems like a
Especially
bad
since that
idea.
box is heading into Moria. In case
Yeah,
that
yeah.
opens, or if it breaks open, how are they going to stop that from...
All right, yeah, you got it. We need to return the axe.
It's okay. You can hold on to it for today.
Yeah, everybody else is getting to carry legendary weapons around, so
But yeah,
Your turn.
maybe I'll just hold on to it for safekeeping.
Don't we have somewhere else we need to go first though?
Yes,
I mean, we do, and we
I-
can
I-
probably use this while we do that.
No, I feel like we should send it along while
Send
we
it
move
with
forward
who?
to Mirkwood. Some of the Northmen, whoever that Gundyr knows and trusts.
The only person I really trust to get this to where it's going is myself.
Which is
What
fair.
about Yrsa?
She's not here.
here.
But we can tell her the significance of this, and she can return it. This is not our thing.
Well, who knows when Urza's gonna get back? Because, like, she could be down south for a while and then
Yeah, but there is no.
get a
we're
wild
not heading
hair and
towards
decide to
Moria.
head to Gondor.
We're not heading towards Moria though.
We can go back to Moria at any point.
Then we can come back here and grab it.
It sounds like now that the wild men know what it is, that it should be their duty to return it, as they are the ones that.
Exactly.
So let's let them handle that. But, Gundyr, you are a wild man of this. I'm sure your counsel to them would have weight.
Hmm.
May I see this dwarf's spot?
Yeah, they'll lead you up to. They kind of like kept it outside, up in the frozen area because not going to degrade up there. Um, you, it's very strange looking at the body. You can give me a medicine roll.
Oh, snap, a medicine roll? I never make those.
Medicine? Oh, really?
I'm gonna help.
Well, you should spend more time looking at dead bodies then. That aren't
I
moving.
already have advantage, so you can do a separate
Well, I help
roll.
anyway.
Oh, okay.
I could roll.
Side note: if
Uh,
the dead body is moving, it's not medicine anymore. Then it's shadow
Ah.
lore.
Noted. That'll be a 28 from me.
Only a 23 for me.
So in both cases, it's most of you haven't seen like the concept of a starving dwarf isn't something you've really dealt with particularly. But this dwarf is definitely, you think it would take a while. Like we're talking, at least a week or two in the wilderness, or hiding somewhere without particular food for that to happen. This dwarf has clearly been through a lot. He has very nice, shiny Moria stuff that's made out of mithril, but all the rest of his stuff's showing the degrade of weather and time. That's probably more than just the week the body spent up here. So you get the kind of impression that it's been out in the wilderness for a while, and it does appear to be dead. Starvation and exhaustion, you got pretty high numbers. Both of those are factors, and in the end, it might have been. You don't think dwarves actually die of hypothermia, so.
Um, did you guys collect his items from him, or is this exactly how you found
The only thing we took was the axe, and you can kind of see like he looked like he was like curled around the axe, holding on to it as he froze and starved to death.
it? Oof. All right. Um, I would like to search for any signs of shadow corruption or any kind of like symbology of dark magic shenanigans.
Feel free to roll shadow lore.
Ha! Ooh, it's two 17s in a row. 29 for shadow lore.
You don't find anything.
Oh, okay, cool. So, probably not shadow related, but I also have no idea why a dwarf would be out this far by himself.
He didn't have anything on him. Markings on his clothes,
A letter.
a message, a tattoo.
I mean, the markings on the clothes tend to point him as someone relatively high ranking in Moria. You probably saw some similar. I mean, the clothes are definitely Moria, so you're 100% sure that the markings put him in probably like, the high ranking. I mean, you guys were down there, Gunder. This is probably like one of the guys who was in Durin's elite guard.
Right. He wouldn't. Nobody in Durin's elite guard would have done this just haphazardly, and I doubt that anyone would have been a traitor. That doesn't make any sense. He sent this here for a reason.
Do
Can
we
we send a
know
message?
where Durin is?
I mean, he's in Moria.
But do we know that?
I mean, for a fact, not really, but it's a decent guess. Dwarven lords rarely leave their holds.
Can we have the Northmen send a messenger to Moria?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I think we should definitely not make this common knowledge. Perhaps even encrypt the letter in case it does fall into bad hands.
The Northmen will say that they have already sent some messages without specific details to Moria. They have not yet received a reply.
Mm,
But that's not a surprise. They don't expect in this weather to receive a reply soon.
Yeah, that is a little disconcerting. Look, Kelly, and I understand your feelings about this, but I've got this gut feeling that I need to keep this axe with us. I
I'm
can't
more concerned.
really explain it more than that, but it's like I think we need to keep it with us for the time being until we can give it back personally.
I'm more concerned that we haven't heard from Moria and we've sent an incredibly dangerous artifact for safekeeping. And if Moria is not safe, then we have a problem.
How far is Moria from here?
quite a ways.
I mean,
I mean, it's a ways south, that's for sure.
2 weeks maybe.
I think
Perhaps this is something we could ask of the Eagles.
that
You
one of
seemed-
us go.
Well, that depends on how much they would be willing to help.
I mean, they did ask for a horse. Is there a horse amongst your Northmen that you don't care for? One that's perhaps is sick and dying.
I mean, we can definitely give the Northmen can definitely give the Eagles something of value to trade for this.
I
Another
mean-
question is then, who is gonna go? Is it gonna be all of us, or will it be one of us?
I think more is better in this circumstance, but I don't know that I will be able to go. I have a promise to keep.
So Chad is mentioning that the Iron Hills are full of dwarves, and I will add to that that Thranduil's realm is on the way to the Iron Hills. So if you wanted to get a second dwarf opinion before going to Moria, that might be in the
That
direction
is
you're
a good
headed.
option.
Well, that is a good option.
Maybe we could send a message. Because what are we gonna do when we
Look,
get there?
we've sent a message. They've sent a. Could also send a second message to Moria, and maybe they're fine. Maybe
We're
they're
also,
all right.
also one to the Iron Hills to be like, hey, we found this, and we don't know exactly know what to do with it, and we haven't heard from Moria yet.
Might not be a bad idea.
The Iron Hills on good terms with Moria.
Yeah,
Probably.
yeah. Dwarves are always on good terms with dwarves
Not always.
most of the
It's
time.
almost like saying
Aren't they,
humans
like,
are on
cousins?
good terms with humans.
Look, the camaraderie between dwarves is a lot better than people. That's for sure.
So speaking of that, we're kind of moving towards. It's about that time, anyways, where deciding what you're going to do next after you leave here. You're already having some of that conversation, but you do have a warm and comfortable bed for at least a couple of nights here in the north, as they are very good at providing a fire to keep the chill of the winter out, for they are not in any way unused to rough winters in the mountains here. So I guess the only question I have is that while you're here, Gunder, do you just carry the axe around, or do you just leave it here in the? Are you feel safe enough to like leave it where it was?
I leave it where it is for now, but I have every intention of taking it with us.
Okay. So, anyways, you basically get to spend. You gathered that night in your own. A lot of that conversation right there was, there were Northmen around, but you get your own basically long hall where all of you are staying, so you can have conversations without Northmen prying ears. Not
Right.
even Thorber and Durham anymore, and although there are
And
Legolas,
there's sweet new tattoos.
if you want Legolas to not have prying
Yeah, do
ears,
they
you'll
still
have
have
to
their
deal with that.
tattoos?
Oh yeah, they totally still have their tattoos.
Cool.
Still do. And so you have an opportunity to converse about where you might want to go next and what you might want to do. You've already started some of that.
It doesn't sound like a bad idea to stop by the Iron Hill and at least give a report hands on. However, if we're going for speed, which may be important here, it could be pertinent just to send a message and then we'll conduct our business in Mirkwood as quickly as possible and then head to Moria.
Well,
Mhm.
No,
Before-
I think the best thing to do is just stop
before
by
we
the
make
Iron
any
Hills.
decisions, Nestriel, you need to hear this. The other night, it was a dream but a vision. from Gladriel. I saw the king of Arthedain sitting on his throne with Harvagel and Belial behind him, and they slowly turned into shadow until they are nothing but darkness.
What?
After that,
Oh man.
I saw the Witch King standing atop a fortress with two of his Nazgul behind him. One wore the ice crown, and the other reached up and pulled down his hood to reveal Glorfindel's face.
Ah, shit.
Ah.
We need to go to Moria.
Fucking
We
knew
need
it.
we need to go to Moria.
Okay, well, all right.
We
But
could be too late.
I still need to
One of
keep
them
my
has-
promise.
Ice crown?
Okay, well,
It's the guy who was trapped in the
Yes.
box.
okay. So we go to Moria, and then we'll go to Moria. We'll go to Mirkwood after Moria. That's what we'll do.
Legolas will speak up here. What do you expect to find in Moria?
The box that has the creature with the ice crown.
I guess-
Hopefully
He's
not.
contained there.
More specifically, I ask, what if things have gone bad in Moria? What will you do? Will you face the dwarves in their own realm? Will they even let you through the door?
We come bearing Durin's axe. They better let us in.
I mean, yeah. If,
Or
if
they'll
Durin's
come out and take
if
it.
Durin's axe isn't enough of a open the door, I don't see what is.
The fact
Well,
Durin's axe is in
Gundyr-
our hands might mean that my father might be a bargaining chip for my father to
Well,
send
that's why
aid.
it's not in your hands. It's in my hand.
Well, let him finish.
Let's be clear. My father does not like the dwarves. If you wish assistance against the dwarves, there is one of the few weak spots he has.
But we don't know if we need assistance.
We're assuming that
Neither.
they're going to be hostile towards us. Then last we left, we did them a great service by killing the creature in the lake.
Well, if
We
they're
bear them
friendly,
no ill
there's no
will.
reason to go.
I
Except that we need
anticipate
to get the
no
box.
hostility
Check where the
from
box
dwarves.
is.
If we can get there quickly, we should be able to head off any potentially disastrous reveals that may or may not be planned.
We need
But
to call the
speed
Eagles.
is paramount. If we can get the Eagles' help, we can get there in time. If Gundyr brings them back the axe, a known and titled friend of dwarves, I see no reason they would be hostile.
I am just trying to find ways for both the promise to be kept and for your needs to be met.
I will go with you, Legolas. We will go speak to Father. But you know I have no intention of staying.
Wait, you're gonna go and then we're gonna like split?
Can you
And-
think of an option that meets all of our needs?
Yeah, we don't split.
I appreciate that, Kellyan, but making sure that Lich.
Lich.
Ah!
I mean, basically, come on.
Gundyr, how long will going to Mirkwood delay us if we're only there for as short as we can be?
We can't. The thing is,
won't-
it's not gonna be short.
It won't delay us that much. I mean, mostly because once we get to the Anduin Vale, like it's a straight shot.
But
Like
time-
it's all flatlands and lowlands near the river, and like the only issue is going through the mountains. It's like you're gonna have to go through the Vale to get to Moria, anyways, because you can't go through the mountains. It's too much. Your best option to get there as fast as possible, minus eagles, is to go to the valley and then go south until you get to Moria, in which case you'll go to the mountains.
Welp.
I'm glad that we have kind of a standard phases in this campaign, and this is the GM has given you lots of different things to do, and now we need to argue over where to go.
And
So
Phase of
stupid.
each session. I'm not sure that's good, but it does seem to be a repeatable theme.
The greater
Also,
evil is
I'm
in
at least
Moria.
mildly responsible.
Also, to be fair, Nestriel, I thought we had decided that you and I would go see your dad together.
Yes, but if anybody else returns the axe of Durin, I don't think we'll get as good a reception. We need you to be there to give the axe.
Do we have a specific time that you need to be in Mirkwood? Did he ever and I look over at Legolas, did he ever specify when?
As soon as possible, Legolas
Okay,
says.
well, as soon as possible it needs a little bit of a detour.
Well, Nestriel,
Well-
what's more pressing?
The
Which
greater evil is in Moria, but I need to do that. I need to go to Mirkwood and make my peace with the man who is my father. That is important to me.
I think we need to respect her decision.
I respect it. However, the world is more important.
I agree, which is why you and the others will go to Moria. As long as you don't die, you'll be fine. This is a very strong group of people, and I will be there as soon as I can. You can trust that.
So
But
you
those
would
are-
go with Legolas, and the rest of us would go to Moria.
That is the most expeditious path available to us.
I don't really see it another way.
I think it makes more sense to have the elves stay behind anyways. It was hard enough as it was that first time.
I mean, Wetherill would probably go with Legolas and Nestriel, I think, because
Mhm.
she has a desire to
Gliriel?
talk to Thranduil.
Right, of course she does.
Gliriel would head back that direction because that's actually home, right? I mean, Moria is right next to Lorien.
Yeah.
In fact, if she wanted to like stop traveling with you, that'd be a great opportunity for her to just
Hey,
pass
wait a
over
minute.
to Lorien or to have a conversation with Galadriel or whatever.
So then the delay, basically the delay we would have to do to go to Thranduil's Hall is too great.
Yes.
If the vision gifted to Alred from the Lady of Lorien is more imminent than we would like to believe, the fact that the Ice King was there and the fact that the Ice King is supposed to be headed safely to Moria to be kept, those two things contradict each other, and we need to find the answer. Or the North Falls. And that can't happen. The balance would have shifted too greatly.
Okay.
Woohoo! Are we gonna do it? Are we gonna do it? Are we gonna split the party?
Well, I mean, out of character, that's not the right thing to do. But
No, it's not.
at the moment, it seems like it makes the most sense.
I'm totally for this.
I'm always for splitting the party. We get things done so much more efficiently.
Yeah,
Or
what could
not
go
as
wrong?
efficient.
Oh my
right?
god, no.
Almost always more efficiently.
I'm just saying, Allred's going south.
Oh yeah.
He needs to. We all need to, but I have to go to Mirkwood.
All right.
That is it then.
Okay, well, we will have some conversation about that for sure as we get ready for the next session.
Oh yeah.
But before we end here, we're going to actually do a cutscene for some other thing itself. And you all see there's this big gap in the Rovanian plains. that is fresh. Dirt is still falling from the side of it as a chasm goes into the ground. Where a creek once ran, now it spills over the side into the chasm. And walking into it, you see Yrsa, who is a large North woman wearing bearskins, standing next to a tall Rohirrim-esque Eothrem man in armor, leading a horse. Behind them are a bunch more horse people as they descend into the gap. As it gets deeper and longer, and the sun itself sort of is shaded because of the depth. And as they get near where the gap enters into the darkness of Mirkwood, uh, a form moves in front of them. Uh, their weapons are at the ready as a tree face comes out from there, um, not hard and knotty, but soft and smooth, but covered in darkness and or
That tree
covered
spirit.
in a dark bark. I guess is the word there. The as it
Dark bark.
dark, dark bark. It's a thing.
Mm.
It's my new product I'm selling. Never mind. The I'll decide figure out what it is later, but that's the name. The it and they see that, and there's two or three of them under there, and then at the very base of the Mirkwood, in the darkness of this chasm, you see little lights as there are glowing seeds, all kind of sprout up all
Fuck.
around them, and Ursa steps forward, and one of the tree people says, "Welcome." And that's the end of our cutscene.
Ja!
As we'll see who resolves all of that. Let's see how that
Maybe we
turns out.
should all go to Mirkwood.
We should have gone to Mirkwood.
Yeah.
I am going to say that it's not too late, right? We're not going to, unlike with Rivendell, where I kind of, we made the decision because I had to for actions. But if you, in this case, if you, think better, something happens. We'll talk about that again at the beginning of the next session about the split or maybe in between. But for now, we're going to call that an evening as we have had some interesting times. I'm going to say, Allred, what do you think was the most interesting, exciting thing from this evening?
The whole necromancer thing. Like, what? Who is that guy? Like, I have meta knowledge, but then it's there's two of them. What? So confused. So I'm real interested to see what comes of that.
Kellyanne.
Let's see. What is the most interesting? I really like this budding relationship between Gundyr and Estriel. It's really cute. So I enjoyed that and some of the awkward stuff and the giving the letterman to his chick kind of a thing was really funny.
Yeah.
So
Funny.
yeah, I like that. Mm-hmm.
Willard?
I kind of like the prospect of learning how to teleport through shadows. That seems pretty cool. Hopefully, Withrol stays around and shows how to do that.
Yeah, Gundyr, speaking of that, we're not quite at level up time, although you guys might need it given what you're doing.
Right.
But I mean, whatever. You guys faced the Necromancer tonight and no casualties.
That's because we really didn't do anything either.
I mean, you didn't actually quite get to the attempted ganking.
Yeah, bravely run away.
God, the temptation to just sit in there and pester him with questions about shadows and magic.
Why
So
are you
high.
tempted by this?
Lure of secrets, man.
It's
I mean,
on a character sheet.
If you had the chance to just sit down over a cup of tea with Sauron and say, "Hey, what's up? How do you do your thing, man?"
No.
Wouldn't you do that?
No.
Yes.
safe
have
cup
to
of tea.
admit, I kind of would do that.
It's a safe space, right?
I mean, the kings of Numenor did it. Basically, they're like,
Yeah,
hey,
they
show
sure
us
did.
all your cool stuff.
Yeah, how'd that
Show
go for
us
them?
your cool shit.
Yeah, nothing went wrong with that. Nashville, you'll be fine.
Oh my
Gosh, where did I put that island, anyways? Oh, never
Where
mind.
did I put that island, anyways? Oh no.
Okay, Gundyr.
Yeah, no, I mostly enjoyed Killian just being like weirdly diplomatic for a short period of time there. Like,
Character
wait,
growth, man.
wait a minute, you don't want us to straight up murder this guy?
Nope.
Are
Character
you
growth.
the same Killian we met?
Nope.
Character growth. I love it.
Yes.
I love it so much.
Okay, Nestriel.
The reveal for Durin's act was fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Just the fact that Gundyr likes the axe more obviously than he has ever displayed affection towards Nestriel
So funny.
You can't, that's not fair.
just makes a girl feel real good.
it's really safe to express affection for inanimate objects. You don't need to worry about their feelings or how they're
It's
going
a-
to reject you generally.
It's,
The axe can't
Although-
say no.
To be
it's
fair,
a guy thing. I can't explain it better than that.
if an axe was going to reject
Is it-
Gundyr, this is the sort of axe that might do that.
Right.
But yeah, no, it's got some pretty. It's a pretty serious weapon. It's pretty much one of the, top remaining items of power in Middle Earth. So glad you guys have got that sitting there, and to see what you're going to do with it. That's part of my excitement. Certainly, my
Mostly
favorite.
me using it.
My favorite part was definitely having you guys run into the Necromancer, because that wasn't necessarily
Of
on my list of
course.
things to do, but there we are. And it was pretty fun to come up with the eagles as a person of power to run into too. That was fun.
That's pretty cool.
We'll do that.
And now here we are, immediately trying to use them.
And I think that I may have been, as usual, one of my goals as a GM is to get you to have to make hard decisions, because there's lots of both stuff going on and things that aren't black and white. That's a very much part of my campaigns, and I may have done too good a job of that today, but we'll see, because that is definitely the plot. Excited to see where you guys go. There's lots of wonderful stuff, regardless of whether you go to Moria together in parts or to the Woodland Realm. Lots of fun stuff is happening out there. So,
Woo.
then that's it for us. We'll be back next time to see what happens when you split a party across thousands of miles.
If we split
Nothing
apart
bad.
across thousands of miles.
I'm super excited for it.
I am super stuck on Moria, and you can't change my mind.
Well,
I mean, you do need to go. It's kind of important.
Yep.
Well, there's a lot of things that are important. We just need to decide what is most important. Is it the
world is
or
the most important.
you see, that's where we differentiate, because I think what's personally important is
Oh
more
my
important.
god.
Oh
Is
my
it
gosh.
is it worth pointing out that we had a similar decision earlier between Mirkwood and finding out information to save the world, or going to save the Dunedain, and we saved?
Ooh.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's not quite the same.
okay,
No,
well,
it's definitely not.
some conversation will continue. We look forward
Because
to
at
next
least
week.
my people do something instead of sitting on their asses.
God. Well, we'll get back to
Conversation.
this in the exciting conclusion next week.
Of the Elves and the Restless. That's our new show.
Oh.
The elves and the rest like
Ah.
sand in the hour. The days of our lives.
That's right. Okay, we'll see everyone next time. Have a great day.
Bye.